Hey, you're listening to Rogan Radio. As always, 5 seconds happen pretty fast in this place. Wow.
Leave your sex life out of this, Rogan. Leave your sex life out.
Hey, once again, we want to thank you. Want to thank you for listening. We've had a really crazy couple of weeks here. Actually, between going to Dover and holidays and everything else, we've been kind of really off schedule for a long time, and it's the cell phones. You guys got new cell phones today? I can see.
Sending the picture that we just took.
Oh, okay.
We have for Rogan Radio, check.
The reason being is we have Randy Scott and we have Brent Harris in the studio tonight, in Studio A. I think when was the last time we actually were in here?
3 weeks.
Let's say 3 weeks ago.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were outside.
Last week, nothing, right? Was last week?
Shit.
Last week wasn't.
No, last week. Then Saturday.
Duggar Dance was
last week. And then we had the outdoor Studio B.
That was the end of April.
That's the week before.
Man, I'm telling you what. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But we're back in action. Tonight we have Randy and we have Brent, we have Jimmy, and we have Todd as always. And we're going to be talking about some quad action tonight, along with some kind of crazy stuff as always. We have the quote of the week, and we also, if you are a follower of us on the old Facebook, a couple things. We're getting some really good reviews. We would love for you to give us a review on the Facebook page. You'll see it as soon as you go to Rogan Radio on there. Just go ahead and click on review. Just go ahead and leave it, good or bad. It doesn't matter to us. If you're listening to us on iTunes, all you crazy fans in Switzerland, that's the hot base for Rogan Radio right now for whatever reason. It's in Switzerland.
Must be the bikini team.
I'm guessing they're
bikini team.
I'm thinking
bikini team. They need judges.
I'm thinking what they really want us to do is get in our Speedos and get the cicadas out and then do some kind of crazy stuff like that.
Well, you didn't say menage a trois. You said quads, and I think they're into quads.
Oh, yeah. But see, then again, but then again, when I say cicada, they were probably thinking the size of your penis, Jimmy. So they were like, well, plus it makes some kind of crazy
those
noise.
Things are big, dude.
Yeah,
they're like Godzilla size in West Virginia, right? Crazy. But we would really appreciate that. Once again, on iTunes, you can check us out on Stitcher. TuneIn is not TuneIn Radio is not yet, and Stitcher
and
SoundCloud. By the way,
Yeah, it must be racist.
SoundCloud. So once again, we have Brent and Randy. Randy's getting ready to go down to Daytona, and Randy, you've been through a wild ride for sure. I mean,
yes.
to say the least. I mean, between working in the coal mines, or first of all, let's say growing up, and did you grow up in Lumberport?
Yes.
Grew up in Lumberport, West Virginia, that is.
Correct.
Then you went to the coal mines. You went to Lumberport High School then.
Yes. 75 graduate.
When was when did they make Lincoln? 79?
79 was the first year, I think.
So that was your first year in the coal mines. Second year in the coal mines.
See,
I'm remembering all this stuff.
You
I'm
are.
pretty good.
That's pretty amazing.
79 comes after 77.
After 78. See, I didn't go to Lumberport High School. I went to Lincoln High School. That's why I can't remember all that.
Apparently.
But so did Brent. So that explains a lot of things too.
There you go.
But we're going to be talking about some cool fire stuff tonight. In fire, I mean in respect to maybe some things you take for granted. When you see a fire truck rolling down the road, it could either be for a fire. Are they actually called firemen or first responders now? Because firemen seem to be like the utility pole of everything.
It's not politically correct because there could be women.
A fire. It's like mailman. You can't say mailman anymore. It has to be letter carrier. But I mean, in reality, though, when you're talking about a fireman, it's not necessarily anymore just. And I don't know if it ever was actually. It could be for anything.
There is so much PC right now, and fireman seems to have a negative connotation, but in reality, among firemen, that is the highest compliment you can get. If someone says, "Dude, you're a fireman's fireman," it doesn't matter if you're a chick or a guy.
Right.
That's the highest respect you can be paid.
When you're talking about, well, I was talking to Brent about this before we even started this thing, and fire interests me. And what spurred this entire conversation is I've seen like guys when they were training, and they used to have one up there by the Coliseum. Occasionally we would go. Yeah, occasionally we would go up to the grandparents' house, going up whatever that road's called now, and.
Smoke would be blowing across the university, right over to the Holiday Inn, and they'd be bitching.
And you would see these flames shooting out of like 3 or 4 stories up there in that thing. And it was like, I was a kid then. I was like, what in the world? I was like, Dad, what's going on over there? He goes, they're trained to be firemen. Really didn't think too much of the science of actually putting on a mask. Now, this is something real quick, too. When you're talking about a tank on your back, you know what? You would think it was oxygen. Well, it couldn't be oxygen because you explode.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How do you keep that? But
It's not oxygen.
Compressed air.
Compressed air.
It's compressed air. Okay.
Now, do you fill those up at the do you have those professionally filled up, or are they filled up down at the?
Some fire departments have cascade system, which is an air filling station for them, and that's where you get them filled.
You
up.
could paintball all day with one of them.
Oh man.
All day.
In this area,
Bridgeport, Nutterfort. I'm trying to think where the Lumberport it still has.
Lumberport has one. And in fact, there are actually a couple mobile cascade systems in the county too. Lumberport has one of those on their it's their squad truck, and Bridgeport has one on their squad truck. So they actually can fill the
On the go.
cylinders
On the scene.
on the
Right.
scene.
Oh wow, that's fantastic! Because in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds you of scuba gear, but it kind of is scuba gear in the sense.
Thing, use the same thing to fill their scuba tanks.
And I heard someone say paintball over here. You get requests like that all the time. When you're, hey, can you fill my scuba tank? Hey, can you fill my paintball gun? I've got a cool machine gun, you know.
Now, here's something else, too, a little interesting fact, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is just an observation. Whenever you go see especially the old firehouses, now, I don't see it down in necessarily the new ones built, but the old ones, you would always have almost like a tower, like the old Clarksburg.
The one downtown has a tower,
the old one down in Lumberport,
The activities
right?
building, yeah.
Yeah.
And now my guess was always that's where you would after a fire, you would always Mark Coffee is here, baby.
Mark Coffee brought a present. Yeah.
How you doing?
Hello, Mark Coffee.
Cough.
I think that's my homeless.
Better shake his hand, Mark. He's going. There you go.
Leaving him hanging.
That would be where after a fire you would run water through those hoses, and that's where you would hang the hoses, let them dry out.
You'd scrub them on the apron and then hang them up to dry because they were made out of cotton and they would mold like crazy.
So that's actually the truth. And so
Correct.
now that you don't need that tower to hang hoses.
Correct.
Right.
So
Okay.
that was the whole purpose of that tower, because them hoses they had to
To dry them out.
Had to air dry.
Yeah.
Huh? See, and that's something I didn't. Just observation. I was just thinking, why is there like a church tower on
a
fire?
big bell at the top. Bang bang. That's what I would
By the
think,
way,
right?
there's a big one in Baltimore you should check out. It's iconic, and it's got a probably 10 or 12-story tower with a clock. It almost looks like Westminster Abbey, and it is called the Stedman Fire Station. They used to run. Well, there were like 60 guys on duty in this station,
Right.
but it's got one of the most iconic
I'll
hose
check that
towers in
out.
America. Stedman.
See, I'll have to. Is that near the Inner Harbor?
It's close.
See, I'll
I
have to
can't
check that
remember
out.
the street, but I do know this. I've witnessed before. You know, they run out of two sides of the building. There's like 5 doors on either side, and I've seen near collisions. People trying to compete to get to the fire first. So
Whatever happened to when? Did they still have like the fireman battles when they would like?
Remember downtown?
I remember. Did
Colton
they?
and them had it this year.
Who did?
Colton and Adam and them, they had one up at the middle school.
Oh, see, no, I love that.
Yeah, I remember it was at the because they used to have it right down there by the old feed store.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where they used to do it down that little.
I can always remember like the hoses on either side, trying to get the like the keg of beer or whatever it was. You know,
that's exactly what it was.
No,
Is that what it was, a keg of beer? Is that what it was?
I believe it was Miller
Empty
too. wasn't it?
keg.
Miller Genuine Draft Cake.
that's exactly what it was. Now, you know, something else that might be a myth, it might be an urban legend. This is what the whole podcast is about, kind of conspiracies, things that I've heard about the firehouse, things that I know about or have always heard about the firehouse.
Sorry, we can't go there.
Chili, something about firehouse, like a five-alarm chili. What is any
Is
five?
that where that came from?
You know, five-alarm chili.
5-alarm chili.
Because I always heard 5 alarms was like when you would ring Nutterfort, then say Clarksburg. You know, each alarm would each bell would be a different.
Like Randy, he worked in Howard County, and I used to go to New York City all the time. Let me tell you something. You go to them big city departments, you will not eat a finer meal than any gourmet restaurant you can find.
These guys are great.
Promise you.
So
They are
it's
great.
good stuff.
If you could sit down with them. But an alarm, generally speaking, like for a single family dwelling, would be 3 engines, a truck, and a special service, which would be a rescue squad. So 5 alarms would be, 5 times 3 engines and 5 times.
So you're looking at
Also, like an alarm.
walls on fire.
An alarm's an additional manpower and equipment.
So when you say like a one alarm fire, that's like a certain like a standard kind of deal.
Correct.
And then if 2 alarm would be twice that, and you go up to a 5 alarm, then
Yep.
you're talking about 5 times that.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll just special call a particular unit, or they will say something like, I need 1 and 1, which means I need a special service in another engine, which is not, it does not constitute a full second or third
assignment.
alarm. Yeah.
So when it like comes to 5 alarm firehouse chili, that means it's really hot and you need a lot of water to put it out.
Lot of habanero.
Now, what is it about in the old days about waxing the mustaches like hockey players? Any truth to that?
Firefighters do that? They
Now,
got
listen, I mean, look,
Is that a firefighter thing?
Is that so it doesn't singe or burn or something?
Oh, maybe, huh?
Just for a look.
Petroleum.
I don't know. I know some buddies up in New York that have them, but I don't know what. Other
that's
than
what I
just-
mean. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
like, is it like some kind of like weirdo kind of
No,
thing
I
in
think
certain.
I think different parts of the country got different things.
Just
I
different.
think-
Yeah, I think so.
handlebars are probably rare,
Yeah.
but fire or mustaches are not. I mean, even today, most firemen wear a mustache. I mean,
Or a goat or something like that.
Brent's wearing. Well, you got to be careful. You know, you can do the soul patch, but you're not supposed to, by NFPA, have anything that interferes with the seal of your face piece.
So like when Mark Coffey's busting down the door,
Yeah.
and he's got a
He's
full
not
beard going
complying.
on. I mean, now granted, the guy doesn't need an oxygen mask because he's so powerful anyway that he just blows the fire out. Mark, where's that beard at? Come here, Mark. Look at that thing.
He
Big bad
doesn't
wolf.
need to wear one of the mask checks because he just pulls that hair right up over his face. Instant filter.
Booyah.
Earlier, you'd ask about first fire.
Right.
Well, for years and years, I mean, a lot of the guys in the early years of the fire department, we didn't follow NFPA. NFPA, well, it existed, but no one followed their regulations. And the breathing apparatus of today are different. They're positive pressure. In other words, if you snag your face piece on a banister rail and you open it up, air blows out. You can't suck bad
I
stuff
see.
in.
It's compressed like.
Yeah, it's called
constant pressure.
It's called
blowing up.
positive pressure. And anyway, back in the day, it was not positive pressure. If you lost your face piece seal, you sucked smoke in. I wore a beard for probably, the entire time I was at Lumberport, and I never had a problem getting a seal with a beard. So it always irritates me a little bit. These people are like, well, you're interfering with the seal of your face piece, and you can't, screw that. I've done that, and it works just fine.
How do you keep the mask from getting fogged up?
That's hard.
I mean, do they actually get fogged up though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean because you're hot and cold and in different air
Depends
and
on the environment. Some guys spit in their mask and rub it around.
I used to carry a little bottle of something that smelled very much like Windex in my pocket. It was made by MSA. Have you ever heard of MSA? It's
No.
Mine Safety Appliances in Pittsburgh. But anyway, you're getting ready to put the mask on. I would just spray it, rub it around with my fingers real good. It blurs your vision, but that's better than no vision.
yeah, because being foggy in a place like that would be kind of a scary situation. Anyway, you're listening to Rogan Radio. We're going to talk about a lot of that and more. We're going to come back. We're going to maybe get Mark Coffey on here.
Yeah,
now,
we
you know
are.
what? Mark Coffey, he's
shaking his head no
he's
to
part of the secret society of Rogan Radio, so he's kind of secretive in his own right. We're also going to be the next conversation though is going to be about quads because Randy, you brought your Phantom down, and I want to hear some good stories about that Phantom. You're getting ready to move down to Daytona. You're going to have the entire like we talked about earlier, the entire Miami Vice kind of thing, as far as girls topless and people driving on the beaches and everything else like that. I'm thinking, I want to go down to Daytona.
Chuck's just
You're
worried about
welcome.
the girls topless.
Come on down.
Hey,
I've got 3 bedrooms right now, and I'll soon have 5. So
fantastic. But we're going to talk about quads. I want to know all about that thing. You've had it for about a year now?
couple
years
year
now?
and a half, year and a half.
Okay,
And
well,
I'm still learning every flight.
I want to hear about the very first flight, and I'll tell you about mine because it was very ugly. But we're going to talk about that more. You're listening to Rogan Radio. Hey, we're back at Rogan Radio tonight. Once again, special guest in the studio. We not only do we have Mark Coffey, who's in the background back there. He is part of the secret society, the founder, I think, of Rogan Radio. But we also have Randy Scott and Brent Harris, along with Jimmy and Todd, as always. And this next segment, before we get into talking about quads, because we love drones, quads, whatever. Randy, you brought your Phantom down. I had the Typhoon, and this is going to be a pretty interesting conversation because this is going to be the wave of the future. I actually read an article to where a lot of people who at one time, like probably in their bigger cities that were using helicopters for aerial stuff, all that's gone. Now they're using quads. And you can see some of the footage
that's the
now. I
way of
mean,
the
why would you
future
want to
right now.
rent a helicopter out to do something when you could just go
How
ahead
much
and
does a
do that?
helicopter cost you for fuel and maintenance and
Yeah, you just have to
helicopter
charge the
pilots
batteries
and
up on
all
that
shit when you
thing.
just
Yeah, I'd
run
love
that
for
thing
them to
out.
let me use them at work.
The problem is now they're getting so affordable that
You can't fly them in the coal mines. anymore.
they're getting so affordable now that anybody with a half a brain or a quarter of a brain can buy one, and they fly these things over airports and everything else. So
But now you got to get them registered, right? Is that what these numbers are on the side on your leg right here?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just got yours registered.
I
Right?
just registered mine about 3 weeks ago.
How close is it to the airport you can fly 'em?
5 miles.
5 miles. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
what
I'd,
is it?
I'd be out because my front yard's like they fly over my treetops.
Actually-
like literally touching my treetops.
If I fly to the top of the hill in my neighborhood, I'm within
within
5
5
miles
miles of
too.
it.
So
Because it's what 400 high. Have you ever messed with it too much on your quad?
yes, I actually set the parameters. I can't fly above 400.
Right.
I saw this great video on YouTube. There was some dude in Spain.
Yeah. And, I know it's one you're talking about.
He just took off, and he wanted to see how. And
This
I think
isn't like the 35,000 foot
Yeah.
one
I
or
mean, he
something.
was up in the clouds, right?
it was high. I don't think it was 35. I think he topped out at somewhere around 6,000. But this
Oh, my
thing,
gosh.
I guess the earlier drones or quads,
right.
they had a mic on them, which was annoying as hell because you could hear the props,
Yeah.
And this thing's like, and it is struggling. I mean, you can see the rotors dip and everything. It's fighting to stay in place, but it's it's a mile in the sky, and I'm thinking I would like to do that. I just don't have the balls.
I don't either.
So
I don't either, because you think about when you start launching something like that. First of all, you don't know what's up there, but second of all, my thing is that your battery. Now, granted, I don't know what would be harder to coming up or coming down, because going up, you're fighting gravity, but coming down, you're fighting the airflow, right?
well, yeah, but supposedly, with the DJI. It will not run itself out of battery. Once it hits its max, it will save enough to return home. Supposedly, I've never
think you
tested
should
that
try.
theory too well.
I mean, if you have an extra $1,000, you can use it.
Why
Right.
don't you try it
Well,
while you're down on the beach sometime and we're freezing our ass off up here?
Well, yeah, because we were talking about that earlier. Then we're going to get to the quote of the week. But we were talking about that earlier. Say, especially when you're down in Daytona and you're looking at, downwind and upwind. You could fly that thing for 16 miles if you're, if you're going downwind, and then that thing doesn't even realize that the battery. Then when you start wanting to bring that thing back, then it's all of a sudden, uh-oh.
And I was actually doing some line of sight flying. We didn't discuss this earlier, but took off down the beach, turned around and come back, and I was at a low altitude, and you could just see it. It started losing altitude even lower, and it landed. And I took off running down the beach, and there was a woman and a man sitting in a chair, and she was like, "Over here," and I looked, and there it was, and it just stopped and landed.
Now that thing, it won't drop it. I mean, that's what's nice about some of them now, is that the I don't know, how can I say this? I mean, the nicer that you get, like say DJI, Unique. There's another one coming out too that's really nice. They have all this GPS stuff in them, first of all, which makes them extremely easy to fly if you have GPS. And then, but they
For you in the coal mines, that's tough.
Yeah.
they have fail safes, like
No lockdown there.
Oh, yeah.
like I know the problem with the one I had there when it first came out is that you could accidentally turn it off.
Oh,
So
you,
that thing
you
would
can absolutely turn this off.
and it
If
would-
you pull both sticks back, it'll just come out. Of the
drop
sky.
right out of the sky.
Yours do that?
Well, I have to hit a certain. Actually, I have it right here. What we're looking at here. This is my ground station. If I hit this button, this is what I'll hold it for a couple seconds. But once it starts flying, and boom, it's a lot of people get this mixed up with the camera controls. Some people put toggles on this thing so as not to hit
Like one
it.
of them flip
But-
switches that go, you have to flip up to hit it.
But I can tell you this. One thing about this with flying is that every time I take that thing up in the air, it scares the shit out of me in a lot of ways because it's always a rush. I mean, I'm just flying a little plastic quadcopter, right?
I notice my hands shaking a little bit when I'm.
Oh, and then when that thing gets out of sight, especially, which I never do because that's against FAA rules.
Wink, wink.
then I really start. I really start freaking out.
There's
because-
$1,000 down the road and you can't see it.
You know, you know what? This is the problem that I have with flying it, and is just either actually landing on somebody's house or on a baby carriage or in somebody's car, or I'm thinking, oh my God, please don't run into an electrical cable or line or something like that, and then shut the whole city down. That's what worries me about it the most. That's what worries me about, yeah. But it's a blast. It's the absolute blast, and especially with the stuff they do with gimbals now, and some of the footage you've caught down, up at the house, and then down in Florida. It's just amazing what you can capture.
It is an absolute rush flying those, and then seeing the footage later. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then we were talking. Todd and I, we do a lot of filming with them, and there are the best shots that we get are the mistakes or the places that we don't even think they're going to even have them.
Yeah.
It's amazing like that.
That was the story I was telling you. May I share that? Or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I take off down the beach. I fly about a half a mile with a good tailwind, and I lose signal on my phone. You fly the DJI with your phone or your tablet, and so anyway, you see what the drone sees. I lost signal, so I hit the emergency recall button. It took it about 35 or 40 seconds to get a half mile downwind and 8 minutes to return home. The footage was spectacular.
Yeah. Never meant for any of that, but you're like, I want to hit that home button more often.
Right, and I'm on the beach, and I'm like, oh my God, I've lost it. Oh my God, I've lost it. And all of a sudden, here, the little drone that could.
And it comes right back.
It lands right in the exact same spot it took off. It's incredible.
That's
that GPS.
Now the funny thing about the Typhoon is that there's a 20-foot geo fence around it. So, say for an example, and a lot of people make this mistake, is that when you take that thing off and then you let it sit for a little while, get its GPS coordinates and all that, but you can't get, like on my particular one, if I'm in a 20-foot range of that. The safety is not to have that thing 20 feet anywhere near that controller. I guess not to hurt me, okay? So if I'm this close to, like, we have a Randy's maybe, not even 5 feet away, really, say 5 feet. If I would take that thing off, the first thing it would do is, as soon as it got off the ground, was try to get the hell away from me.
Move away.
Which there could be a tree there, there could be whatever there is, whatever there could be right there, so you have to stand at least 20 feet away from it. So when I hit the home button, there's a little home button, like what Randy was talking about. I have to make sure, which I made the mistake out here one time. I just wanted to test it out. I'm out in the driveway. I'm flying this thing around Lumberport. I hit the home button. I'm off. I'm standing right in the middle of the driveway, right where the thing took off. That thing comes right over above me, comes right back down, and swings right to the house to get 20 feet off of me. I'm thinking, holy shit, I just about spent $1,400 down the tubes.
Yeah.
Because it just tried to get away from me. I was like, huh, and then I read the book.
Then you're
Then you read the book. Yeah.
It's always good to read the book or something like that.
You're like me. Usually I read that after the fact, and I'm like, there's where I screwed up.
That's what I know. The cool thing about quads, though, is they are an absolute ball to fly. Dean, he has one of our buddies, Dean, 4K. He has a 4K Typhoon, just like this one, and he ran that thing into I think his house. He tore his gimbal up pretty good, so he had to replace that one. Buster had his Phantom. I think he did some pruning on his holly bushes and stuff like that. He took that because it was just, you don't think they're as fast as they are, and as soon as he took off, man, that thing is they're fast. It's absolutely amazing like that. And then what's really cool about it, though, the nice thing I like about the Phantom compared to the Typhoon is it's symmetrical, I guess, in a way. No matter what way the wind's blowing, the thing's going to handle the same. To whereas mine is more like an airplane,
Right.
because I have a side to it. So if when I land, say if I'm having some kind of crazy wind, you can land that thing just about any which way you want. Whereas mine, if mine's long ways. If I'm getting a crosswind, it's blowing mine. It'll flip right over.
This is funny. I brought this thing down to where I could reach it, and you'll twist it with your hand, and you let go of it, and it reorients itself. It's like it fights to orient the way it took off.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Smart, they're smart.
It's absolutely crazy what they can do with this stuff now, and they even have the new the Phantom 4 out. They're just coming out with all kinds of stuff.
You know what? The price is really coming down because when we saw
Is
this
it?
on Amazon, Well, we saw the unique for without the camera because you can mount your own. I
Right.
think it had the gimbal, but just the
That
camera.
gimbal's awesome though.
$500, I think.
That's pretty cheap though.
Without
Yes.
the camera. If you
Now,
have your
now,
own GoPro, you can
now,
have a GoPro.
if you want to put it, you can buy a quad pretty cheap if you want to put your own GoPro on it. The thing that I don't know about the GoPros, I think the GoPro Blacks have Wi-Fi on them, but I don't know the range on them because you have light bridge on the Phantoms, right? So you can get some crazy distance and still record. At least you can see what you're recording. You know, back in the day, you put a GoPro on something. You just, you hope you got the angle right. You hit record, then you launched it, and just say you got back and say, oh well, let's just see what I got, because you couldn't control the
I also
thing.
think the GoPro's vision isn't as good as like the camera you got. The GoPro's more of a fisheye vision than yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yours is curved a little bit, but not anywhere near as the GoPro.
The GoPros, I think they've, they have like the studios. That's what I was telling Randy about with film editing and things like that. The 4Ks are nice. The problem, if you're going to watch home movies,
Right.
4Ks are fantastic. If you want to actually get a 4K video and record it, put it in your computer. First of all, it's such a pain in the ass because the processing power, because the files are so big, because there's so much resolution in it. But then if you want to upload it to YouTube, then it's going to take forever because your upload may be 7, 8, 10 megs. So it's going to take forever to get a 400 meg 5-minute file up. And then for somebody to actually stream that in real time, it's just like, oh man,
Take
it's just
forever.
when they get the codecs, it'll be better, just like it was with 720 and 1080. It'll be like that too. Yeah, at some point, either that or we'll just go to shit, and the volcano out there in Colorado will take care of us, and we won't have to worry about it.
And then who cares?
But anyway,
Do either of you guys like photography and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah.
See, that's what motivated me, and the instance that I saw drone footage, both still and video, I was like, oh my God, this is a perspective I've never seen and can't get, and I fell in love with that. And my two greatest hobbies are music and photography, and so to combine those two, if you like that kind of stuff, I'd recommend anybody get one, learn how to fly it, get out there and fly it.
Well, and you know what? This program that Chuck was telling you about, that Filmora, music and photography, man, when you mesh them two together,
Beautiful,
oh,
isn't
it's
it?
going to be great.
that brings up a great point, because when you're talking about music, to me, I'm an audio guy. I could listen to something all day long. Music, if I listen to music, a song, it can take me back 15 years.
Absolutely.
If I watch a movie, I might like the movie, but it's not really doing anything for me emotionally per se. Not like a song can. A song can take me back to a first girlfriend. You know what I mean?
First kiss, first whatever.
Absolutely.
What about your first boyfriend?
I remember that song, by the way, Chuck.
But it's almost like a still photograph. It's like like music videos. I'm not really big into music videos, and it's kind of funny because when I look at I would much rather look at a still photograph, for the mere fact of I don't know what is going on, and I'm making my own perception of what I'm looking at, right? Which is kind of like in a weird way when it comes to quad video. Now, this is going to be where I'm very hypocritical, because I love the motion of a quad video, but there's nothing being said. You're just watching nature, or you're just watching something. You put music with a quad video, then all of a sudden you're taking the emotion of the song, the imagination of the still, and you're putting those together, and it's almost like being in heaven, as far as your brain goes.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. These are two of his loves that he can, like peanut
Join
butter
together.
and jelly,
Yeah.
man.
Peanut butter and jelly.
What
It
about
just-
like
analogy.
state parks? Like, say you wanted to go down to Blackwater Falls,
Right.
And is there any stipulation that you
No.
can't use that?
I don't think state parks, but
It's federal, you can't.
no federal.
You're not
New,
allowed to
New
fly in a
River
federal
Gorge,
park?
as beautiful as that would be, you can't do it.
And then, boy, you know what you could do, and everybody and their brother, it'd be nothing but like a satellites flying around that place, because it would be fantastic to be able to do New
What
River
about
Gorge.
them quad races? Have you seen them?
Oh my
Those,
God.
let me tell you what,
Cool. Those are cool.
ESPN picked up, I think they're going to actually start broadcasting those, and those guys, when they put those VR glasses on, I mean, which
That's
I don't know,
crazy.
I've never tried VR. I've never tried it.
That'd be cool.
And you know what? I'm thinking, and I'm probably a lot like Randy, and as I'm thinking of, okay, I'm flying this thing by eyeballs, and there is no way. But now, if you put the goggles on me,
you're
and
like
I'm
ready to
and I'm
pop
flying
into that
60
thing.
miles an hour on one of these things, and listen, it might be quicker than 60 miles an hour, and these guys are zipping through parking garages and
Through the
football
woods and everything.
stadiums and everything else. It's like being on
That'd
a
be crazy.
speeder bike. I'm thinking, wow.
I don't know if you heard or not, but a good friend of mine lives in my neighborhood, Ed Waskey. They have a business at the airport, but he texted me because of my drone flying. He said, "Oh, they're having drone races at I think it was at Wesleyan, like
Really?
2 weekends ago."
Oh my
And
gosh! I didn't
I should have notified you. I was unable to go because of a scheduling conflict,
Yeah.
but I just thought that's great. And the fact that, well, I've tried to fly mine indoors a couple of times, and you can't. Well, at Bridgeport United Methodist Church, I tried to fly indoors. They wanted me to take a picture of the stained glass windows.
Right.
What I found was I can't hit the.
You went through this thing, glass.
Well, I can't hit the GPS, and I was drifting bad, and I thought this would not be good if I went through the stained glass. So I canceled the flight. But anyway, for these guys to be flying in stadiums and through concourses and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff,
That's crazy.
that fast, that's incredible.
And that's what I mean is they always say, I mean, now some of them some of the newer quads or drones, they have cameras on the bottom to get an orientation so you can fly them inside. But they always say is that always fly like you don't have GPS because GPS makes you lazy. I about lost mine.
Makes
I
you
lost.
lazy.
I
Oh,
lost.
that video we watched.
Listen, there's a video where we were down at or up at Cooper's Rocks, and I lost it in the trees, lost GPS, and that thing, it was like flying one of those, $150 ones that you could buy at the mall, and I just about put that thing in, and thank God Todd came out of nowhere like Superman and
Did you
grabbed
grab
that
it?
thing.
You snagged it.
Just went up and grabbed it.
Chuck's like, grab it.
Because I just lost it. Because what happened is I freaked out. Is I lost control of it, then my brain shut off, and then I don't know what to do because I'm just used to doing this, pushing the controls and real nice and easy. Then all of a sudden to where I'm actually having to fly the thing, and I'm like, ooh, shoot.
That's hard.
I've never flown the thing. You can turn the GPS off on it. I've never tried it just because I don't want to crash it.
Don't
Well,
crash.
like
I
I,
don't wanna
said,
crash it.
when mine was turned off, it was just like you're struggling to keep it where
It's hard.
it requires
hard.
a steady hand, which I no longer possess. So
I don't either. They have the new things too with the propellers. Now a lot of people are going with the to get higher speed and higher lift or the Teflon, not Teflon, maybe it is
Carbon or the carbon?
Carbonite, the carbon
carbon
props,
fiber things.
the carbon fiber props. Now this is what I don't think they understand is that it's a lot cheaper. You have your plastic props. And listen, if you hit something too hard, you're going to split them things right in half. You're going to break them right off. Now, the reason for that is because you would rather have a prop break
Than
than
your
you
motor.
would motor burn out, right? And those carbon tips, I mean, guys are finding out when they're hitting trees or they get stuck in bushes and they can't turn that thing off fast enough. That thing's just, torquing down on something. It's burning their motors out. But anyway, that's fantastic. Where is that? Pull that thing up there, Todd. See if we can get that thing right now. This is Randy's...
I saw a
Yeah,
thing the other day
Phantom
on,
there.
I forget what I was watching, but
That's
these guys
fantastic.
were,
That's awesome, man.
a guy was fishing on the beach, and he picked one up. He was fishing for tuna, and picked up the bait and flew it out with a quad and dropped it. They could see the tuna and dropped it, and the guy pulled the tuna in.
No
Nice.
way.
That'd be pretty cool.
Interesting usage.
Yeah.
Well, not to interrupt, did you want to hear about my first flight, my
Yes.
inaugural?
I tell you what, we're going to take a quick
Okay.
break here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to hear about Randy's first flight with his brand new Phantom.
DJI Phantom.
What model is that? Version?
Three standard.
3 standard. And I'm just looking at it right now. I love the gimbal on that thing, especially when it powers up and the lights come on. Do you calibrate your compass very often?
They recommend you calibrate it every time you fly.
Do you do that?
I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, because I don't want to lose it. So,
I do too, because it only takes the first time. The first time's the worst time. You get that feeling in your gut. And
I keep hearing of people having something called a flyaway, which I hope I never experience. but
those are the people that don't read the books and don't do compass calibrations. And then they fly away on them. And then they're shit out of luck. All right, we're going to be back. We're going to talk about Randy's first flight. You're listening to Rogan Radio. All right, we're back on Rogan Radio. We have, where's Mark Coffey? He's back there hiding in there. I see his hand.
Did you hit record? Hey, did you hit record?
I see his hand. Yeah, we're recording.
all
We also have Todd,
us the
Beck, and
5
Jimmy as
seconds.
always. We have Brent and we have Randy in the studio. We're just talking some dumb shit tonight because we're having a good time.
Why don't we open it up with the quote of the week? before
quote
we
of the
forget?
week.
You know how we get.
We're gonna let,
Sometimes we start talking and we
I'll let
just
you talk, and I'll
absolutely
just say
forget.
how I got it.
Okay, here's
Quote of the week comes.
There's one in there, Randy. Go ahead and grab one out of there.
Quote of the week comes by my cousin Corey Yedlowski. Is actually his face. He
Wait
has
a minute.
this on his
Hold
Facebook.
on. Corey? No, wait a minute. Corey Izlowski?
Yedlowski. He's
No,
married
wait
to
a
my
minute.
cousin Jamie.
No, wait a minute. Okay, so say it again.
Yedlowski.
Yedlowski.
Yeah.
And your name is Wisniewski.
Two different things, but anyway.
But you got the ski on there. You guys are skiers over there.
No, it's spelled with a Y and not with an I, so it's two different things.
Makes all the
Man,
difference.
Okay,
two
anyway.
different things, man.
Okay. I guess it is
So anyway,
to you
he has
people.
it on his Facebook here, and I'll let Todd read it since he usually reads the quote of the week.
Yes,
Every-
okay.
All right, the quote of the week comes from Mr.
Blah,
Yezlowski.
blah, 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 blah.
Says, how many men does it take to open a beer?
How many men does it take to open a beer?
None. It better be open when she brings it.
That is absolutely
And what was she doing out of the kitchen?
Yeah, right.
nice. I like that. How many men does it take to open a beer? She
None.
better have it
None.
open when she gets
Better
it.
be open.
Better be when you get it. But what if you're divorced?
That's the quote of the week. Don't try to stretch
Well,
this
that's
thing.
when you have your fire hose. Bring it.
I knew I should have been a volunteer fireman. I knew I should have been that. We have Randy and Brent in the studio tonight. We were talking about fires earlier, and then because that just baffles me to death. I mean, the entire thing of the science of it, and it absolutely is a science. I mean, it's like, first of all, you have the science of psychology of the guy that wants to do that, and then who wants to do it for a paying job, we'll say. Then we have the psychology of the guy that wants to do it voluntarily for the community. Then you have the actual science of how the fire acts in its own right. Then all the intricacies of you need the pumps, you need the fire hydrants, you need all the stuff that goes along with it. And you know what? It's crazy to think like a town like Wallace, say. I don't know how many people live in Wallace, but they have a volunteer fire department and they have the same science. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all about it's absolutely great. It's fantastic. And it baffles my mind.
We could probably get them in a smoke building. I'm sure I could make that happen if you guys would like
Would
to.
you be interested if we could get you guys
I would be very
in a
interested.
smoke building?
No. First of all, we're not talking about making like sausages. We're talking about going into a fire, like to replicate.
build a small little fire and fill it with smoke.
But I think
Just
the
Get
thing
to
that
put the gear on you.
the thing that you would most be fascinated by, or maybe intrigued by, is how much the gear weighs, especially when you're pulling a hose full of water and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, when I was doing those facts earlier, not to interrupt, they said when he talking about gear for these firefighters, I think they said, I guess they were kind of grouping everybody together because you all wear the same stuff. They said
Similar, yeah.
similar, and they said it was like firefighter going into a fire is basically like carrying a 9-year-old on their back.
It's about
Like
80 pounds.
Yeah, 70, 80 pounds. With
You know what,
the-
Brent? If you guys could set that up,
Yeah, we
Oh,
take
we can
over
make
the
that
radio.
because I'd be scared as shit. Don't get me wrong. It's going to freak me out because I would feel like I'd be suffocating, and then to see that stuff, to feel like I was being engulfed by flames.
We won't let it get that bad for you.
Oh no! Listen, make me scared because that would be an experience. Listen, it would be a thrill. It would be scary as hell because it would be a whole new respect. You know what I mean?
It gives you a new perspective of it.
Because that's what I mean. You don't think when you're walking in there, and you just like, I mean, it just baffles my mind of like everything is unique. Every fire is unique. You know, you go on YouTube or you see these things on Facebook, and it could be a mobile home, and the next thing you know, the door blows open because the pressure inside's too hot. You know, if you blow out a window, if you break a window down to get some air in there, or whatever the science is,
Right.
to get some ventilation in there,
You
you just don't know what's going to react because you don't know the inside variables.
What it's going to be. And back to that, like you talk about, like with residents and stuff. You guys got operating smoke detectors in your house?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't. I mean, it's like a
Really?
$10.
That's crazy,
It's
isn't it?
$10 thing.
I have mine all linked together and everything.
Yeah,
They're
that's
all
when my
tied- they're all
brother built his
hardwired.
house. He's got all of them hot wired. They're all hot wired
All
together.
tied into the
so
same
with-
place.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
see, you
That's
know-
code now.
Now, see, this is this is going to make you laugh. Now, I don't know how many Randy's going to remember this, but growing up over in East Shinston, we didn't have fire detectors because there was no such thing. Now, actually, I take that back. Smoke detectors.
Smoke detectors.
They were, what would you call it, the big bells with heat? They were these big brass bells, and when it got so hot, it was
like a gong.
And then when it got so hot,
Did it have a fusible link on it?
it would bust.
Right.
The mercury would bust or whatever, and then the bell would ring like a school bell.
Right.
Really? Never heard of that.
Yeah, and that's
In
what.
your home, you had one in
And
your
that's what, and they were in the kitchen.
I'd like to have one of those.
Yeah.
Listen,
You come across one of them.
Are they worth something?
Find them on
Like-
eBay, right? You got
No,
one?
they're
You
not.
got
They're
one?
on anything, Chuck.
Listen, we have 2 or 3 of these things, and they're honest to God, they're like 10-inch, 12-inch
Yeah.
pizzas. I mean, they're just big brass bells, and there's like a spring, like a spurt, they would ring,
Yeah.
but there's like a little, I don't know what the hell. I'm guessing mercury,
Yeah.
and then when that fuse or that little,
Expand them.
and it would bust, and that thing would ring, and it would be like a school bell in that house.
Sometimes they would make those fusible links out of lead, and melt at a specific temperature, and then ding ding ding. ding.
Oh, they were loud as hell. They were
Yeah,
loud.
but we with my company, I give smoke detectors out to anybody free at once.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I got
Well, how
FSI.
can-
If you can't afford one will be
Yeah,
appointed
just
for
look at
you.
our Facebook page. We'll get it for
Well,
you.
yeah, Brent, tell us how would somebody do that? Because if most people don't, there's no reason to die
Yeah.
over something
Yeah, there's
smoke
I
detectors.
forget how many deaths they've had in the state already, like 15 or 20 throughout the state, just in West Virginia. And the majority of them don't have smoke detectors. And I know Cindy Murphy, a captain up at Clarksburg Fire, she does the same thing.
A real nice program.
So if anybody needs them, message Chuck. He can get them to me.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
instant message me on Facebook or firesafetyinvestigation.com. Send us a message. We'll get you
Yeah,
guys hooked up.
absolutely. And I'll tell you something else for talking about that, carbon monoxide. Because that's another bet.
I noticed you had one in your. See, I like the hydrant. I'm always looking. I look for detectors of all kinds.
Let me tell you something. Now this is something that what happened to me one time is that we had a couple dogs in the house making popcorn. The wife was she was at work. She was up at doing her job at the UHC, but make popcorn. And we had one of the dogs, one of the Labradors, was a counter surfer. He would get up and what I call counter surfer. He'd get up and just always he would look. He would just always look. He would be on the counters. So I made a thing of popcorn in the microwave, right? So he was counter surfing over by the sink, and then when he went on the stove for whatever reason,
Hit the button.
hit
Turned
that
it
thing and
on.
turned the gas on.
Wow.
Didn't ignite, but the house was full of
crazy.
gas. And now listen, I didn't know it. I was asleep on the couch. I was probably shit faced. She comes home and she opens up the door and she smells gas and thinks I'm dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole house is full of gas. Now, luckily, the furnace, I don't know what the situation was, but something didn't kick that gas on. Or there's maybe the smell of gas is worse than the gas. Just, I don't know.
You might not have hit
Concentration
the
level, was
explosive
it?
range yet.
That's what I mean, because gas rises, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Why
when
didn't-
Depending on the type, natural gas, yeah.
Yeah.
Propane gas, no.
So when she came in and she starts freaking out, and she goes, Chuck. I said, what? She goes, it smells like gas. I was like, you're full of shit, because I can't smell it, because I've been in it the whole time. She goes, go outside and huff a little bit. I go outside, get some fresh air, come back, and the whole house is full of gas because the damn stove was on.
Wow.
It went right past.
It happens.
So what we did after that, took the knobs off the thing, so there were just like metal knobs sticking out, because there was just no way, because that damn dog went to counter surf, Yankee, he would counter surf, and he hit that thing and turned it on, and ever since then I'm like, if that house would have filled up from ceiling, got down to the floor, no one would have ever believed anything other than suicide. Because you know what? Who's going to believe that the dog got on the counter? It would have been like, Chuck killed himself and blew his house. He's living on the moon now because
Had his head in the oven for an hour.
yeah, that's what I mean. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I would have never thought of. And the gas stoves always kind of bug me a little bit because there's not. It seems like as fail safe as everything else is, gas stoves really don't seem to have a fail safe as far as letting gas out.
Now, it's been my experiences in 17, 18 years of doing investigations. I've had more fires caused with electric stove than gas stoves.
Really?
Just because like somebody might think, oh, got it turned off or whatever. Next thing you know, you melt an aluminum pot down and shit's burning.
Yeah, because when my gas stove was installed, just in the new house, they have all kind of regulators on it now. So it doesn't, you can't, like a flood of gas can't come through there or nothing.
Oh, I see.
I don't know what it all does, but anyway.
But so are most house
I just
fires
know there's
though?
safety for it.
Would most house fires be actually caused electrical I mean, in how
No.
I would say on average,
say accidentally.
I'd say electrical or smoking. Or electric, smoking, cooking is the biggest, followed by electrical and smoking.
So we'll say as if no one is in that house,
Mhm.
what causes a fire?
Depends on where the fire's at.
Arson.
That's what I mean. I mean,
Pissed off neighbor.
the thing that always kind of, what, I guess without any variables, the house being the house. Because occasionally, that's what scares the shit out of me sometimes. Is I'm thinking, okay, I'm at work now. I know nobody's there. I mean,
Well, unless you're going to turn off your main disconnect on your electrical service coming into the house,
it could be anything.
it could be anything.
I'll tell you one time, now believe this or not, I was sitting in the kitchen, and Verizon or whoever the hell it was will not believe this to this day, and I have Sharp's electricians came to the house to prove it. Lightning hit out here on the telephone
Oh, I
pole.
remember
It
that.
didn't have it grounded. Went to ground on your house.
That thing came right down that telephone pole, went around the fascia, and shot it. I was in the kitchen. You could go out there. I could show you the lightning. I mean, it's minuscule. I mean, it's like that. But the lightning bolt came out of that freaking had fried everything in the house.
That's why they tell you never to shower during a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I mean, you know what? You always hear about this stuff, but literally, I was sitting in there and I was like, daggone it. And it was like that. And lightning shot out of the side of the house and sparks flew off of it. I was like, whoa.
I've done a fire last year. It was a pretty substantial loss. It was probably $1 million loss. A lightning strike hit the ground, if I remember right, 100 feet from the house. But they had an underground macerator for their sewage system with an electrical receptacle buried under the ground. Lightning went in through it, come through the electric panel.
Damn.
You just don't know.
Path of least resistance.
That's
They
it.
can find a way.
How about now? Let me ask you. When it comes to the what are the blue arcs, the fuses you can get for your homes? Is it blue arcs?
Jesse had when he built a new house by
right.
code, they have to have these arc breakers.
Yeah, arc circuit interrupters. Yeah,
He
they're
said
required by
they're
code.
like, oh, they're just
Yeah,
huge
they're
expensive.
Oh yeah, they're pricey.
No, or do they work
But
though?
That's more for shock hazard and for getting a surge.
Right.
I mean, because it's so instant that
Just like GFI. I thought GFI was just like instantaneous.
Now if they sense an arc anywhere, they blow. So
Huh. See, that's all kinds of interesting stuff because I nail stuff in the walls all the time, not even really painted. I would not have any clue. That's what I mean. I would have no clue where the electrical lines are
You
in
should
it.
have those metal plates.
I
Those
can
metal
see all the
plates.
nails you got up
Yeah.
there hanging.
They're everywhere.
No, they actually have AC detectors.
Where you can find the circuits that are buried in the walls.
But is there actually a standard now? I mean, where how wiring is supposed to be in a house?
Yeah.
So I mean, like
Yeah,
say
70.
Everything has a code.
that's what I mean, like a code. Like you could look
But
into a home.
NFPA makes recommendations. And some of them standard, some of them recommendations. But say, City of Lumberport, or where I live out off of Corbin Branch, it's not.
West Virginia's bad about
Yeah.
not making codes.
Yeah, and
priority.
it's just like with back to the
Like a
sprinkler
law.
system or an alarm, smoke alarms. If you have an operating smoke detector and you have a fire in your house, it's a 75 to 80% survival rate of the fire. If you have a sprinkler system in your residence, which like out in PG County and Montgomery County and some other counties out around DC, it's required. Any new construction, they're required to be in there. I mean, you're 95% guaranteed to survive a house fire.
Right.
And the insurance companies really didn't want to back that because they were afraid of water damage. Well,
Yeah.
screw the water damage. Let's
Yeah.
worry about the lives. Okay.
Well, that's what that's the whole thing. Is like
They don't care if you die.
You know-
just don't want to pay for that.
And that's funny, Randy, that you bring that up because you're thinking about water damage. Okay, they're thinking, okay, well, everybody lives in that case, and then
Right.
instead of burning things down,
Yeah.
that's putting dollars on stuff in a really weird way, isn't it?
That's what they do.
I mean, it's
that's
just like car insurance, just like anything else. That's what it is. I mean, that's just But man, that is bizarre, and the science of the whole thing between statistics and experience, and just if we could go into a firehouse, smokehouse,
Oh, we'll get you in.
Yeah, we like to do that. We can
We'll
take
get you in.
cameras
it
there.
will scare the living shit out of me.
No,
I
it won't.
guarantee it.
By
Listen,
the way, do you still have helmet cam and stuff like you probably wouldn't want to take any of your equipment in, but we've got some stuff that would.
If I don't have one, I know where I can get one.
just to experience that, because I think I would get claustrophobic very fast.
Really?
Oh, I think I'd get claustrophobic very fast because I'd lose in complete orientation, and I wouldn't know what to
We
do.
would just throw you in there by yourself.
Yeah,
We'll go in with you.
You know, you guys, you would be surprised. The heat, the visibility, and usually when you lose visibility is because the heat's just really banking down exponentially, and it'll drive you right to the ground. And when it does, then all of a sudden, I don't know where I am. I'm hot. I'm carrying all this weight. You feel sick at your stomach. And you don't know where you are in space. You know, you've lost your orientation. It's scary. It can be.
That's what I mean. There would be a point there to where you would almost say, "Screw it, I'm giving up," and then to survive, right? You know, you forget about fighting the fire. It's like either survive or I'm just going to give up now. I'm just done.
There's a saying I saw it the other day. A buddy of mine a buddy of mine down in Georgia posted it. Said, if you're on a fire scene, I mean, you have two types of people. You either have some jackass running, yelling, screaming, "Oh, we got to do this, do this," or you got somebody calm like the Cap was when he worked. Calm. That's who you look for because shit's about to get done.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy from Logan County, West Virginia one time. You guys ever been to Logan?
Never have.
You're way down south down there. Ain't it?
Anyway,
Down there
this guy was an excellent rescuer. Very good. Very down-home guy. And here's what he said. He said, when it comes to fire and rescue, Randy, some rescuers come a-running and some rescuers run a-coming.
That would be
And
it.
I was like, shit.
That would be absolutely. I could just see it. And those are the young bucks.
Yeah.
You know, that would be the ones you would almost, if they think they know what they're doing before they know what they're doing, those would be the ones that would scare you.
There seems to be a lot of those guys today, and you probably experienced that in the coal mines, and you know,
For the glory and fame of all it all.
they come in and they're already rich and famous, and they know everything. You can't teach them
Yeah.
anything. So anyway,
Yeah.
Youth today is unbelievable.
How much? Let me ask you this: when you guys first started, and to where, when you first started, did you have in your mind you were young bucks, and then you matured into that? Do you remember that?
I think the guys that I had coming up over in Shinston, and like I said, I was there for a year or so before I went to the service, and then I ran with the city of Dover and then Camden, Wyoming, just south of Dover. But a lot of it has to do with the people you're around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I had some really good mentors that if I got out of line like that, they'd
They
smack
bust
you
your
on the
balls.
head and said,
Yeah,
"You're a
yeah.
dumbass. You don't know what you think you know."
Right.
You know.
so at Lumberport, here I was wanting to do everything right. I wanted people to mentor me, and let's just say that we were trying to do things, and by we, you know, we had a huge presence, junior volunteer fire department. We actually had more members under 18 than the actual fire department did. And so anyway, we needed direction, we needed mentoring, and there was none of that going on. And so I wanted to do something, anything productive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there were two options back then in the early 70s. You hung out with the, with the wrong crowd, let's say,
Right.
or you went to the fire department. That's all the only options you had.
Right.
So I'm sweeping the floor one Saturday morning in the day room at the old building, the activities building now, and I actually got taken outside and suspended on the spot because I was raising a dust and interrupted a poker game. I got suspended. And so what we did was, when all these young people turned 18,
Right.
we totally overthrew the place and kicked their asses out.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're taking care of the place, and then hey, we're having a poker game. Get the hell out of here.
But back to that, Chuck. Like when I was in the military, I got hooked up with some buddies of mine on Long Island and knew some guys up in the city. And never in my wildest dream did a hillbilly from Enterprise think I'd be riding on a fire truck in New York City.
Boy, what a rush!
And let me tell you
bet.
something. And that was some of the greatest times that I ever had.
Every time I go back to New York, every single time, it's like there's so many companies, there's so many firemen, and this is the scale of it all for me. And then the scale of how many fire departments
They're over in the city.
There are in the city.
You know how many firemen they have?
Oh my God, it's probably 5,000-6,000.
It's over 12.
12,000
Damn.
in all the boroughs.
And their police department is over 20,000.
20 grand.
It's bigger than some small countries' armies.
And you know, and then to think that some of the high rises are so high that they actually still have to have water tanks on top because gravity won't.
Feeds them, won't pump it up.
Well, you know, it's easier to have water fall than it is to push it up. You know what I mean? It's just like the ladder trucks and all that shit. It just, especially in a big city like that, it's just the scale of it. It amazes me.
Of course, that was all pre 9/11. This was early or mid 1990s. But I can remember going in there. All these guys are retired by now, so if anybody ever hears it, don't deny it. But I can remember sitting in a firehouse in South Jamaica, Queens, first time up there. Of course, my eyes are big as saucers anyways. And this one buddy of mine, he's like, "Want something to drink?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." "Sure?" "Yeah, I'm all right." 10 minutes later, "You want something to drink?" Kept asking me for a half hour. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a drink." He's like, "All right, I'll be right back." He comes out, kid, you know, it had a 32-ounce glass of Budweiser. It had a keg in a van in the parking lot.
Oh, no
I was
joke.
like, "This is our stress reliever. Don't let the cap see you."
Hey, listen, you would have to. You'd have to. I mean, that's what I mean. Like that's where the Rogans are from, Jamaica, Queens, right? And you're talking about such a houses upon houses upon houses upon houses upon
I
houses.
couldn't live like it.
There is no absolute way. And then you just when something goes, and oh my God, I just can't. When you see these fires in these cities like that, and you know, to see a block around here would be kind of abnormal, I would say, just for the mere fact that there's not very many people close to each other.
Right.
You get into a place like Pittsburgh or New York or something like that, when you have houses upon houses, then poof, man.
They're gone.
Yeah.
It's called conflagration.
Oh shit! And now you got these dumb bastards that actually are fighting the firefighters and stuff. Actually, like in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
they're going to try to fight the fires to put their shit out, and they're throwing rocks at them and junk.
Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
actually,
And it's
I,
like let them.
That's when
I
you
actually
just
let
had
it
that
burn
happen
then,
to
you
me.
know?
just
Did
turn
you?
a hose stream on them.
I was a pump operator at a garden apartment complex fire,
Yeah.
and pouring the rain down. I had high side compartments which open up. I was standing underneath them, but I'm watching the pump panels, and I got guys inside actively fighting fire. And I turned around because I heard something, and I looked, and there's 3 guys standing behind me right beside of a dumpster. And this one guy asked me, he said, "Are you afraid of me?" And I reached up inside, "Are you afraid of me?" And I was like, I'm not going to say what I said, but I reached up inside and I got the 30-inch pro bar, the Halligan, and I said, "No, bring it. Just fucking bring it." I'm sorry.
That's what I mean. I mean,
And here we are trying to help them. Their apartment complex is burning down, and they're wanting to fight with it. You know,
That's stupid.
isn't it amazing? It's sad. It's sad. But yeah, let's go into a smokehouse.
We'll get you.
Oh
We'll make it
man,
happen.
listen, Jimmy.
it's all up to Brent because I'm out, man.
Oh, you have some strings, I'm sure.
I've got
Is your brother still doing things, or he's retired
You
too?
know, he's doing things, and you know, you got options either at Bridgeport or Gore. So yeah, he mentioned Cindy Murphy that she's a captain in Clarksburg,
Yeah.
runs their free smoke detector program and stuff, and she's in training. And they could definitely get you in the building at Gore, or you know, we can get you in.
Is
down
there
at
one in
Bridgeport.
Gore?
Yeah, it's right behind.
the Career Center.
Right behind.
I didn't
Career
know
Center.
that.
Yeah.
Shit, it's 3 miles down the road.
Yeah, it'd be a good place.
Huh?
Yeah.
We could do some good video down there.
And you know what? Nice place to fly the drone around that too, because it's all concrete out there.
Well, how long has it been out there?
Years.
15 years probably.
Hey, we're millmen. We're
That's right. We work at
They don't
Clarksburg.
deliver mail to that
Something like that.
building.
But what an interesting conversation. And listen, Randy, I almost hate to think that you're going down to Daytona here in a couple weeks, because we could talk about this. I could talk about this almost damn well every night, because I find it extremely interesting.
It's fun. You know, 40 years in the fire service was a good ride. I've got a lot of memories, and oftentimes I can't even conjure them up until we start having conversation. And when you're talking and when Brent's talking, or if I get in a group or a room full of people, someone will say something and memories will cascade. I'll have like, oh my God, I could tell you 5 stories about that or 5 stories about this. And what I ultimately find is that I can't remember them is probably a good thing, because every time I do, I can't sleep.
Right? Oh
So,
yeah, that would have. You know, how many what ifs,
Yeah.
stuff like that, or how
So-
many what happens, even maybe even
But-
worse.
But what a good ride, what a good career, and you're living the dream. You're living the dream. Coal mines are sweet. Yeah. Hey, we've all got we've all got jobs, and we've all got
We're all
health
doing our
insurance,
things.
and we're
That's
all
it.
alive and kicking. So it's good.
And we're gonna fly the quad right off of back of Brent's boat.
Well, there.
Man, that's gonna be a good time. I didn't even know they had Wi-Fi up there.
Yeah, they got it. I don't know how strong it is or how much you need, but yeah, they got it. Might be able to make a phone call or
Your
something.
copter doesn't have its own Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm. But we're gonna if we can
Do
live
a live, do a live.
if we can do
Oh,
live stream right off of
gotcha.
that thing. How perfect would that be?
If you stay close to the restaurant, maybe.
You know, we'll fly that thing off there and say-
the dock.
We'll say, hey Randy, what do you think about Tiger? Take your Daytona up your ass.
Randy's
You,
been up
you
there.
said take it up the ass.
Randy's been up there a few nights on the after hours after a couple drinks.
Man, one
You're
night,
talking about on the boat, right?
Yeah.
one night we rode in and storms were moving in. Remember that?
Oh, it was bad.
And we were drinking a few nice IPAs with some other guys, and and we were towing another boat alongside.
It was
and
towing my old boat with his houseboat.
Oh, is that what happened?
it was just perfect. I
We
mean,
just tied up to him and hung out on the dock.
warm and beautiful, and lightning in the sky, and it's dark, and we're coming back to the docks, and it probably took us an hour. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
great memory. Great.
When's the last time you seen a C-130 flying over the lake?
Actually, Friday when I was up there putting
What
the
are they
boat in,
doing? Did he just do
they
that?
Just running, just the one they fly up from Charleston.
Because man, I tell you what, when they skim it, they seem. Well, I don't know how skimming they, but
Yeah,
they
he-
seem like they fly right over that
he was,
thing.
He was pretty high the other night. He was probably 5,000 or 6,000, anyways.
Oh,
They
okay.
have people skiing behind it.
Oh, listen, sometimes you get up there and it's like, wow, that guy is low, man. That is.
When they come into the airport and they fly over, it's
Did you guys notice that they do touch and goes at the airport all the time? And where I live, it's kind of almost line of sight. I mean, you can't quite see the airport, but you see them on their final approach, and they come in all the time and bounce off and up again, and they pull hard coming out.
Now listen, I'm telling that. Now, Randy, you're going to. You don't have to worry about getting killed like we do. But you have this runway that's built for a 747
Right,
that they just do little commuter jets on.
right,
You have a hospital up there.
right.
You have the FBI complex up there.
Right.
Straight shot. You do touch and goes. Occasionally, I'll see executive
comes.
planes touch and goes. Big planes touch and goes. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking because of the Greenbriers being, the
I know
Greenbriers.
exactly where you're going. Well, let me tell you, it's more than executive planes, because it's not called Air Force One when the man's not in it.
Uh-huh.
But
it
that
flies frequently.
that plane does touch and goes up there every week, and I see every week.
They do.
And
Because
I can text you a picture of one I got where it was coming out, and it was almost upside down banking.
yeah.
And they come in fast and they leave fast. They'll do 4 or 5 and they'll head back to
Dulles or something, or
well, it's not
Andrews.
Dulles, it's Andrews, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told Todd. I was like, they do. I was like, listen, man, there's too much stuff up there, and they're doing
that
touch.
runway's way, that airport's
There's.
way too big for little Piper jets.
I'm thinking if they're gonna put an airport that long anywhere, why wouldn't they do it in Morgantown? Why wouldn't they make Hartfield that? Why would they make Bridgeport?
Well, I've got one interesting thing. I used to go out and I would take pictures of this plane every time I would see it doing that. And then one time I got this it was a strange kind of an anomaly, and it was a red light shining right back at my camera. And I thought, what the hell? Is that a laser? What is that? I don't know. But I wasn't, it didn't look like I was drawing down on the plane,
Right.
but I was definitely trying to take pictures.
Right.
And there was a red light, and the plane was not in a position that I would have thought that would have been a landing light or aviation
Like
light.
somebody spotting you out.
Yeah.
Oh man, listen. Hey, listen. If you think for a second, I don't believe all that stuff up there happened for coincidence, you're crazy. Because there is no reason. I mean, RCB like to spend a lot of money, but there was no way that no one would put a 747 airstrip like there is at Benedum up there next to an FBI center, next to a hospital, right next to the interstate.
Hey,
There's no reason. I mean, that's a coincidence, right?
I got to tell you one more thing. If we're going conspiracy
Do a
theory,
conspiracy because I love it.
okay. There is a huge telescope at Green Bank, the one that they built after the collapse, if you guys are familiar. There was no need for that thing to be built because the technology had changed, and you could put a 3-foot dish in Clarksburg and another one in San Bernardino and another one in Texas, and basically triangulate a dish that size. Yet they still built the biggest dish ever anywhere, and there were about 70 guys building that dish, okay? And I know this because I used to do industrial fire brigade teaching. I used to do construction teaching, fall protection, all that kind of stuff. And there were probably, there were 70 guys working. There were probably always 200 cars in the parking lot and a stream of concrete trucks that didn't quit for months. Months and months, and that's at Green Bank. So,
boy, there's a lot of
Yeah, Green Bank is cool. I mean, you can't use cell phones or anything down there.
and for
nothing.
70 guys to do all that work to drive 200 cars is amazing.
probably can't fly the drones there either.
There's probably a lot. Yeah, there's
There's a lot of underground.
Oh yeah, I'm
No
guessing.
wireless transmissions at all.
I'm guessing, and that is true about no wireless transmissions, no cell phones, no nothing. Okay, then we'll go gambling. We'll stay at the Green Briar and go golfing or something.
You guys friends with Jim?
Jim.
Justice? You and Jim are like that.
Like this, we're bros, man. We are bros. Anyway, what a great conversation we had tonight. We had Brent and we had Randy in here. And listen, honest to God, this has been like one of the fastest evenings. Is Mark still here? There, Mark's still there. Mark's listening. Mark's in the back. I see his big. He's like thing.
I want to thank the Rogan Radio crew for having me. I've had a ball myself. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Listen, man, it's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm telling you what. Listen to just talking to you both about everything, the fires and just the quads and all that stuff. It's just the life experiences more than anything. It's just cool to just sit around and bullshit.
Yeah, you guys will have to come back on a night when we're doing some stuff like Chuck gagging or something. That's always a great time.
Jeez, this is the second reference Jimmy's made tonight about me gagging. First it was me gagging in jail, and now
That's
Jimmy.
the quickest thing I
now,
can think of.
Now Jimmy wants to have a bunch of guys come back to the house and watch me gag again. So I'm not really sure what that's all about.
We're playing games or whatever we do.
That's right. Hey, listen, once again, you can follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, Google Plus, all that action. If you kind of feel kind of antsy about things, go ahead and leave us a review on Facebook. We'd really appreciate that.
I don't think you said anything about this.
We have not we have not mentioned that Miller Genuine. Listen, this is a special request too, by the way. Miller Genuine Draft. Normally it's Miller High Life, but tonight Randy used it. By the way, before we even quit this conversation, I like the refrigerator that you had back in the day.
Oh, thank you.
Listen, Randy had a refrigerator stock full of Miller High Life to the hilt. I mean, top to bottom.
4 cases.
4 cases of beer in there, and that was in the good old days when there was.
Had to be ready.
It had to be ready, man. But
I knew when a party would happen.
you never just knew. But really appreciate you guys coming in here and had a fantastic time.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it was just an absolute pleasure of mine. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to text us at 681-222-ROGN at 7646. We always like to hear from you. That's fantastic. And with that being said, on behalf of Jimmy and Todd and Brent and Mark and Randy, this has been Rogan Radio.